in the last 48 hours, it's become fairly clear that the Russians have launched a surprise offensive in the Donbass area, mainly between Pokrovsk and Kramatorsk, and they've had some success. They seem to have advanced on 2 or 3 fronts by about 15 or 20 kilometres, which is quite a long way in terms of the present war. Undoubtedly, what they're trying to do is to change the facts on the ground between now and the weekend, when this summit takes place between President Trump and Putin in Alaska. And changing the facts on the ground, of course, is all about maybe swapping territories or having a territorial transfer ahead of some sort of ceasefire. So what might that transfer look like? If there is going to be some sort of territorial transfer, I'm pretty sceptical myself, but this may be what we're talking about. There are 4 areas to think about. One of them is Crimea. Crimea is really important. The Russians will not give up Crimea. The Ukrainians are in no position to take it back anytime soon. So although Crimea is very important legally and militarily, it's off the table as far as present negotiations go. A second area would be the marginal areas up in Sumy and Kharkiv. The Russians, after the Kursk offensive, hold a little bit of Ukrainian territory opposite Sumy, a little bit of territory in Kharkiv. They might agree to withdraw from those territories. It doesn't cost them anything to do that, and it would be a certain amount of withdrawal which the Ukrainians could talk about. That would be a second area, reasonably easy to negotiate. Third area, much more difficult to negotiate, is the Donbass. The Russians say they want the whole of the Donbass as a first step. Well, they hold most of Luhansk, which is one part of it. They hold about 3/4 of Donetsk, but they don't hold the other quarter, which is the bit that the Ukrainians have fought so hard for, really since 2014, not just since 2022. And the Russians are saying they want the whole of the Donbass. And in that area, there are the 4 big cities, Slavyansk, Kramatorsk, Kostiantynivka, Drushkivka, and those are the fortress cities. They're like a very strong line of defences, and the Ukrainians will be required to give up those strong line of defences and let the Russians in, and west of that it's harder to construct defences. So that's a third area, very, very sensitive. And then a fourth area is that it is reported, I'm not sure at all about this, but it is reported that maybe the Russians would give up some land in southern Zaporizhia and in Kherson as long as they could keep a land corridor between Donetsk and Crimea. So how big that land corridor would be, how much territory they might give up to create that corridor, we just don't know. It's possible that President Putin would see the idea of giving those concessions as a way of getting the Ukrainians to give this concession. But ultimately, our suspicion is that President Putin, if he is going to talk about territorial swaps, will be trying to persuade Trump to present Zelensky with a deal he simply cannot take. And Zelensky will turn it down, and then he will be blamed for the breakdown of the talks. And the reason that the Europeans are so active at the moment, ahead of this meeting on Friday, is that that is a trap they're desperate not to fall into.